Folks, last night, Democrats, for the most part, attended the speech. Many were quiet, silent. Donald Trump's walking in. They had their backs to him. Folks weren't shaking his hand. But when he started to speak, the twice impeached, criminally convicted felon, insurrectionist, and absolute lying narcissist, when he began to speak, there was only one member of Congress who had the courage to stand up and say, enough is enough. I am not going to sit here and be insulted by this man who returned to the scene of the crime that he led on January 6, 2021. This is what took place last night in the House chamber when Trump was talking, and Congressman Al Green of Texas said, "I'm sick of this crap."
We won the popular vote by big numbers and won counties in our country. And won counties in our country, 2,700 to 525, on a map that reads almost completely red for Republican. Now, for the first time in modern history, more Americans believe that our country is headed in the right direction than the wrong direction. In fact, it's an astonishing record, 27-point swing, the most ever. Likewise, small business optimism saw its single largest one-month gain ever recorded, a 41-point jump.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are engaging in willful and continuing breach of decorum, and the chair is prepared to direct the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order to the joint session. Mr. Green, take your seat. Take your seat, sir. Take your seat. Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Thank you. Over the past 6 weeks.
With that, Congressman Al Green was led out, and Congressman Al Green of Houston joins us right now on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Republicans are trying to move to censure you, sir. But before we start with that, this is also a very difficult morning for you, for me. There's a reason I'm wearing this shirt. We are Houston because last night, your dear friend, my dear friend, our dear fraternity brother, Congressman Sylvester Turner, died at his home in D.C. 8 years mayor of Houston, longtime Texas state representative, passed away at the age of 70. We're going to pay tribute to him in the second hour of our show. But I want to first start with just your thoughts and reflections because, again, it was very difficult, I know, for you to go to the Capitol today after getting the news about losing your dear brother just months after losing our longtime sister, Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to express my sympathies, especially to the family and the friends who have known Sylvester over these many years. When Bishop James Dixon called me and shared the news with me, I literally fell to my knees. Tears welled in my eyes because I couldn't believe that someone that I was with last night, we were on the floor together. I introduced him to someone. He seemed to be quite well. And he walked on away. And to this morning hear this was just very painful. He was such a decent person. He helped so many people. He was the kind of person that you would want to live next door to. He was a good statesman, a person who helped young people. He was always carrying a certain degree of spirituality in his aura. He would end his speeches when he reached his crescendo with, "To God be the glory for the things he has done. And to God be the glory for Sylvester Turner and what he has given us over these many decades."
And he was indeed a beloved brother of Alpha. And it was always, again, the photo. This was when the Astros were in the World Series. And I went to Houston, my brother and I. We ran to the mayor, but in the parking lot, walked in together. And of course, we throwing the ice up. And so it was always great to see him.
Yes. Yeah, I was proud that he was elected to Congress. He served quite well as a state representative for more than a quarter of a century. 8 years as mayor of the city of Houston through hurricanes, Ike, Harvey, served through the pandemic, the ice storm. He was a great public servant, and I was pleased to see him come to Congress. He was doing quite well. He came prepared. I know of no one who was better prepared to serve in Congress than Sylvester Turner, and he will be missed here and at home.
Indeed, indeed. Let's talk about last night. We could not hear, it was very faint. What were you saying when you stood up? And actually, before I get to that, was that your plan going in, or was there something just in that moment where you said, I just can't sit here and listen to this?
That's well said. It was a moment of spontaneity. I was ready to leave because I was not pleased with the president having made the comment that he had a mandate. And as I was about to leave, I was just overwhelmed with the belief that I had to say to him, "You don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid." Medicaid is very important to people who are without means. They don't have the wherewithal that a good many of us have. I have great insurance, but people need this in the richest country in the world. Healthcare shouldn't be wealth care. So I was telling him that you don't have a mandate to cut Medicaid. And then I said, and we have to take the cap and lift it on Social Security, because in just a few years, Social Security is going to have a shortfall, and we've got to protect Medicare. Now, these three things the president really did not elaborate on last night. He didn't talk about how he's going to manage Medicaid, didn't talk about how we're going to save Social Security and Medicare. So I brought it to his attention, and I was vociferous. I did hear the speaker when he suggested that I would take my seat, and I'll be quite honest with you, it was with intentionality that I did not. I did it because it was principle. I represent people who cannot be there to represent themselves. And I wanted to stand for them so that they would know that at least I would be there to take up their cause in their absence. He, the president, has demonstrated to me that they are going to cut Medicaid deeply. $880 million will have to be cut from the Energy and Commerce budget.
Million or billion?
Billion.
880 billion.
880 billion, yes, approaching $1 trillion. And if they're going to do that, they're going to have to cut into Medicaid, and that's going to hurt a lot of poor people. So I didn't do it to see if others were going to stand with me. People have asked me that question. No, I believe that on some questions, it is better to stand alone than not stand at all. And I stood, and I would stand again. And yes, they are about to censure me for this, but I have told people I knew what I was doing. The people who escorted me out were kind to me. They did not assault me in any way. I knew what I was doing. And I was incarcerated with John Lewis. We discussed peaceful protest. And one of the things that I tell people is, if you engage in peaceful protest, you're going to have to be disruptive. You've got to move things. John Lewis would say, get in the way. But when you do that, be prepared to suffer the consequences. I'm prepared. Whatever the consequences, I'm prepared to suffer those consequences because I stood on principle for something that will help people. And if I have to suffer, I'll take those consequences.
There are some Democrats who so there was a debate today. Supposedly the censure vote is supposed to be tomorrow. And I've seen a lot of chat back and forth. A lot of people said any Democrat who votes with the Republicans and censures you is wrong. What if it happens? What if some members of your own party vote for censure?
I won't be offended. I voted present.
And explain, why did you vote present?
I voted present because I'm going to let the conscience guide each person. My conscience led me to do what I did. I will trust the judgment of the people. And if the people believe that I should be censured for this, then I will be censured. And I won't be angry with anybody. I'm not angry with those officers. They were kind and said some nice things to me as we were leaving. I'm not angry with the speaker. I believe that it's a matter of, when it's a matter of principle, you'll be prepared to suffer the consequences. And I'm prepared. I would do it again. And I said as much on the floor tonight, that this was something that I did with intentionality and that I would do again if the circumstances presented themselves. And I would. I'm just being candid.
I just had Representative Summerlee on, and in fact, I want to do this here. Before I go to that, last night on CNN, David Axelrod was highly critical, and I want to play what he said about you. Frankly, I personally took offense to it because I believe in this moment we need people of conviction, integrity, honor, decency, principle, morals, and values to stand up to an immoral, lawless, uncaring despot who wants to be a dictator. So y'all play it.
So it's one thing to mine our differences. It's another thing to try and heal our differences. And that is, that's the difference between real leadership and political expediency.
Would it have been healing to stand for Mark Fogel? Might have been.
No, I agree. Look, you are absolutely right.
DJ Johnson.
I will do what you will not. I will say, I think there were times when they should have risen. I think what Al Green did was despicable.
What Al Green did was despicable. I don't know of anything David Axelrod has stood up for. I don't know if he's been willing in a setting like that to say, you know what, I'm sorry, I cannot play a game of normalcy. I got to remind people, Dr. King's speech on August 28, 1963 was not called the I Have a Dream speech. It was actually titled Normalcy No More. And that, to me, I think is the problem that I have. Too many Democrats are operating where they're treating this guy like it's normal. It's normal what he has done, what he has said. What I saw for you last night was normalcy no more.
Well, Dr. King reminded us that there are times when you have to do that which is neither safe nor politic nor popular. I didn't do it because I thought I would win a popularity contest. I will come back to where I started, and it is this. I did it because there are people who are going to suffer when the president cuts into Medicaid. Maybe this will be the thing that will prevent them from doing what they are sure to do if they plan to cut $880 billion out of the energy and commerce budget. maybe it'll stop them. Maybe they'll try to find a way around it. But my suspicion is they won't, and that they will decide that they're going to try to send Medicaid to the states, send some sort of block grant to the states. And Texas was offered $100 billion to expand Medicaid under the Affordable Care Act and rejected $100 billion to help poor people, people who are disabled. $100 billion because they didn't want to pay 10% of the cost and they let the federal government cover 90%. Well, I think that that's deplorable and that's despicable. And as to Mr. Axelrod, sir, I have no means of saying to you that I regret you said what you said, to be very honest, but you're entitled to say it. And I was entitled to do what I did and suffer the consequences.
There are people who are rallying. They're saying that we need to rally around Representative Al Green in this moment. Do you want folks to be doing that, or do you want them rallying around the things that you were speaking about?
I think the things that I was speaking about are much more important. It wasn't about me, and I don't want it to become about me. I will say this, there are people who listen to the Axelrods of the world, and then they take that as a license to do things to other people. And I would hope that people wouldn't take it that way. People say ugly things, and we've received all kinds of ugly phone calls. And I'm not associating the calls with Mr. Axelrod, but we have. So I don't want it to be about me. I want it to be about the people who need Medicaid. This is very serious. And my prognostication is at some point we will be saying, I told you so. I told you that they were going to cut into Medicaid. I believe that's going to be the case. I hope that this will deter them from doing it. And as for the president, there are three important things for people 65 and older: Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. He did not explain how we're going to save Social Security. It's going to have a shortfall soon. Protect Medicare and prevent the elimination of Medicaid funds being cut. We've got to do something about all three of these. And the president was very pleased to talk about things that were totally unrelated to these three important things for people over 65.
Has Democratic leadership said to you, Congressman, you should have done what you've done? But what do you also want to see House Democratic leaders, Senate Democratic leaders, the Democratic National Committee, and others do in this moment? Because all I keep hearing, I'm hearing people who are like, right on, Representative Green, thank you, somebody who is visibly fighting and standing up.
Well, thank you. All of the comments that I've heard have been positive. I didn't seek comments from anyone, but they were all positive, and people came up to me and said positive things. I haven't had any leadership to say anything negative to me. I would hope that people, as a result of this, would focus on Medicaid and pay attention to what's happening to Medicaid, Medicare, and Social Security. That's where the safety net lies in terms of your health care and in terms of your having some semblance of an emolument to cover your needs when you get older and you're no longer working. That's what Social Security is there for. I hope that people will focus on these things. And as for what other people are doing, I think that there are many ways to get to the same destination. This is my way. I will accept others and let them move in their direction without any degree of antipathy or any kind of thoughts that maybe my way is their way. I let them do what they may. I do what I must. And I would do what I did again, not because of the need for attention, but because of the need for people to have medical attention when they are poor and they cannot afford what I have. I have the best medical attention that a person can get. My medical care is excellent. I want that for everybody in the richest country in the world. Healthcare should not be wealth care in this country. And we've got to change that. Let others do what they may. I do what I must.
Indeed, indeed. Congressman Al Green, my brother, it's always good to see you, good to talk to you. Thank you for standing up, for raising that cane, and letting folk know how you feel. And in these moments, I believe a lot of people are encouraged to see you do what you did, because they said, man, at least somebody is showing some emotion and caring. You know, holding a paddle up like at an auction is one thing, but being willing to stand up and be ushered out of the house for people to criticize and ridicule you is another. And we need to have more folk who believe in nonviolent protest. And that's more important, because what you did in the house in front of Trump was far different than those thugs that he unleashed, those domestic terrorists that he unleashed on January 6, 2021. Thank you, dear brother. And I would hope that you would continue to get the message to the masses as you do. There are many places where I'm not welcome, but I know that I'm always welcome, and you always treat people with a great degree of dignity and respect. And it means a lot to me to know that we can get a message out to the masses. So thank you for helping us do this. Well, you're welcome anytime. And as I'm rocking this shirt, we are Houston. We are Houston. Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Isaac Hayes III, founder and CEO of Fanbase. And right now we're accepting investors in our $17 million round to revolutionize the future of social media. Today, for just $399, you can own 60 shares of stock in Fanbase at $665 a share. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and invest today. While the big platforms have grown too massive and disconnected from their users, Fanbase is building a platform where creators and users truly come first. We've already raised $8.6 million from everyday investors who believe in this vision, and now you can join them. This is your chance to invest in a social media tech company with over 1 million users that is disrupting media by allowing anyone to reach all of their following and monetize their content from day one. The market is changing, big platforms are failing to serve their users, and Fanbase is stepping up to fill the gap. Don't wait until it's too late. Invest now. Invest for yourself and your future. Go to startengine.com/fanbase and own the future of social media.